Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about safe driving habits that you can develop over a period of time when you're learning, 2 to 3 months, that will keep you safe, keep you out of trouble, make sure you don't have a crash, and allow you to drive smarter. Stick around, we'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about safe driving habits, smarter driving habits that will keep you safe, keep you out of trouble. Katie is here, and Katie's birthday is this Friday. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Happy birthday. And we had a couple of comments from other people there as well. So we talked to them. We're also going to talk about COVID-19 and reopening of test centers. It is a mad, crazy melee of driver's tests in the United States because every state is doing something different, which is enough to drive any sane person crazy who's trying to keep up with all of that and help you out and give you the best information possible. So I've put a call out for that information. So if anybody has done a road test, a driver's test here in the last little bit, in your state, if you could drop by the community tab there and document that information, that would be really terrific. And I will update the information and I will get a video out that will explain to you what's going on in your state or whatnot. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, I put a video up last week on the modified driver's test about what you could potentially be asked to do in the parking lot test. Yes, that is applicable to every state in the United States. It is applicable to here in Canada as well, because one of the things that I need to emphasize to you, because I know a lot of you are 16 years old, I know a lot of you are in high school, and high school tends to tell you exactly what's on the test. Yes, there's a certain set of rules and things that you have to demonstrate for the purposes of your driver's test, but any one of those maneuvers you could be asked on your driver's test to do. It's up to the discretion of the examiner. Let me emphasize this. If you're in the state of Florida, if you're in the state of Georgia, you're in Middlesex County in New Jersey, it doesn't matter. There's no set test that every driving center does and every driving examiner does the same. And I can tell you this from personal experience of trying to get driving instructors to do the same pre-trip on a truck. Every one of those fools did it differently at the company that they worked for, and it's the same at DMV centers. Examiners are not going to conduct the same test, even if they have the same closed circuit setup available to them to administer the test. Each one of them could get you to do something different. One examiner, you might go in and they'll get you to do the Ohio maneuverability test. They'll get you to parallel park. They'll get you to do a 3-point turn across 3 spaces. But people in Ohio, for example, are convinced that they only have to do the maneuverability test and they don't have to do parallel parking. If you don't practice parallel parking, the examiner that your test center could very well is within his or her right to ask you to do parallel parking. So make sure that you practice parallel parking. Make sure that you practice the Ohio maneuverability test, reverse stall parking with cones, straight line backing. And I'll tell you right now that if you practice the maneuverability test and you practice the parallel parking, you are going to be a better driver overall. As well, the other maneuvers that you potentially could be asked on your test are going to be easier because these are high level maneuvers, right? They require a high level of driving skill. So if you can do those well, the rest of them are going to be easy, and you may not even have to practice them at all to be able to be successful on a driver's test. Okay, so know that. Carrie is here from Minnesota. DC's here. Felicia, Canada, Ontario, doing the modified test or not? Felicia, we have no idea what's going on in Ontario. Ontario is looking for phase 3 reopening of COVID. We don't know what's going on in Ontario. If any of the other smart drivers watching now or watching on the replay have any information about what's going on in the province of Ontario, please let us know, because I haven't heard anything yet. And I've heard from some smart drivers that they're having difficulties getting rebooking on tests. I know as well that for some of you, you're waiting a long time. It's difficult to book driver's tests online and those types of things. So we're going to talk about all of that in the question and answer period. Jaden, this week wasn't good for me because my is known as got in a big fight and I've been depressed ever since. Well, I hope he's okay. It wasn't like a physical fisticuffs. I hope it was, like online or something. So anyway, I hope everybody's all right. All right, so we're going to do all of that, and I'll get on to the slideshow presentation here. I'll move through that, and I will help you out as best I can with the information. Like I said, I've put a call out for information on what's going on in different states and different provinces and counties and whatnot. I'm going to try and collate that as much as I can tonight and tomorrow, and try and get you a video up here before the middle of the week with an update of what's going on and the information that we know. So if you can give us any information, that would be really, really helpful. All right. Okay. Driving habits, smart drive test, shoulder checking. This is why. Left turns. Why do you shoulder check on left turns? So here we go. This is one of the things that you do not want to dispense with after you get your license. I know a lot of drivers think that they can just check their mirrors, or they can get convex mirrors on their vehicle and they don't have to shoulder check anymore. Nothing could be farther from the truth. If you lose that skill of shoulder checking after you get your license, that is one of the worst things you can lose, and puts you at a high risk of being involved in a crash if you're not shoulder checking when you're changing lanes, merging, turning corners, and those types of things. So make sure you do all of that when you're driving, okay? For those of you who are new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver through the 1990s. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. Most of my work is with commercial drivers, trucks, buses, air brakes, those types of things. I did do some driver rehabilitation training while I was finishing up my undergraduate from at the University of Western Ontario, now called Western Ontario. I'm not sure why they changed the name of my university, but anyway, so I did that, worked with people with hand controls. 2002, I left for Australia. I went to university there. I finished a graduate degree in legal history, which is a study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. And while I was at university there in Australia, I drove buses for Greyhound. So that's who I am in a nutshell. A couple of videos. Well, one video I got up this week was the modified driver's test, which is basically for those of you who are taking modified driving tests in the parking lot. This goes over the skills and abilities and maneuvers that you need to do for that modified test. And essentially, it's straight line backing, parallel parking with cones, and reverse stall parking, so backing into a space with cones. And at the end as well, I went over the Ohio maneuverability test, which is specific to the test in Ohio. And as I said at the beginning, for those of you in Ohio, this is not the only maneuver that the examiner he or she could ask you to do. They could also get you to parallel park, so make sure that you practice parallel parking in the state of Ohio, okay? Think of it like this. You're not going to go and take a chemistry test and not know the basic elements on the periodic chart, the periodic table rather. You're just not going to do that. It's the same thing with going for a driver's test. You're going to know how to parallel park. You're going to know how to reverse. And in the state of Ohio, you're going to know how to do the Ohio maneuverability test. In the state of California, you're going to be able to back up 50 feet along a curb. And in some places in Florida, unfortunately, I had a smart driver last week who was required to back up in a straight line 50 feet and was not successful on the test. So know that you know how to do that. Okay, and are they safe? I wrote an article over at the Smart Drive Test website about the state of Wisconsin and the state of North Carolina, which have waived the driver's test to move learners drivers in those two states to the provisional stage of their license. And I argued that yes, in fact, they are safe and that other states should do this as well. You can find the links to both of those down in the description there, and have a look at that video and read that article as well. All right, components to master for safe driving habits and passing your driver's test: observation, space management, communication, speed management. And for those of you who've been around for a while and listened to me talk about defensive driving and smarter driving, space management. You have to manage space around your vehicle. If you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something or be involved with a conflict with another road user. And one of the other ideas in combination with space management that I'm working on is speed differentials. The difference in speed between your vehicle and bicycles, the difference in speed between your vehicle and trucks, for example, or bicycles, or any other vehicle that has a huge speed differential. And I'm thinking that the bigger the speed differential between your vehicle and other road users, the greater chance of being unpredictable and being involved in a crash. So I'm still working that through in my head, but this is what I'm kind of conceptualizing right now. All right, communication, speed management. These 4 components are not only habits that you need to develop for smarter, safer driving, but also to pass a driver's test, okay? So know that. Space management, living room. You need space around your vehicle, okay? And the one place that you can always manage space is in front of your vehicle. I've had a couple of stories on the mobile this week, or last week rather, talking about that you should, when you're stopped in traffic, you should always be able to see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. Okay, too close to other road users and fixed objects is what is going to cause you to get into trouble. So manage space well around your vehicle, okay? And those 2 things are paramount, okay? So 2 to 3 second following distance minimum, and then always when you're in slow traffic or stop traffic, make sure that you stop so you can see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. That will keep you out of trouble. Predictability, and as I said, be predictable on the roadway. There's road rules that we have that you have to follow. However, road rules no more prevent traffic crashes than criminal law prevents crime. They're simply there to create a predictable road situation that you can drive in and be safe. And I'm convinced that when traffic crashes occur, it's because a road user acted unpredictably and did something that other road users were not expecting, and you get a conflict and you get a crash. And of course, this predictability is going to depend on where you're driving in the world, and there are going to be different driving cultures depending on where you are in the world. For example, some places in the world have U-turns. If you're in Tucson, Arizona, for example, they're going to be doing U-turns all over the place, which is just something that we don't do in Canada. If you go to India, for example, you have to give way to cows that are in the middle of the road. And I'm sure in South Africa, different other places in the world, well, South Africa and Australia, Japan, the UK, all drive on the left side of the road. So again, that's something different as well that you have to keep in mind. Predictable traffic patterns. We've been talking about this a little bit. We've been talking about space management. One of the other things that's going to happen at different times of the year, seasonal conditions, is going to be different kinds of vehicles on the road. And here is my current seasonal pet peeve right here. You can look at that picture, and even as small as that picture is, I can look at that vehicle, I can look at that truck and trailer, and I can go, that SUV has no right being hooked to that trailer. That trailer is too bloody heavy for that SUV. And I'm just going to have a little rant here about this, because I walked downtown today, and it's not just today, it's the last week or 2 weeks where camping has become the big thing. And I see these people who have these bloody Dodge 1500s and the Ford 150s and the Chevy 1500s, and they got these huge camping trailers hooked to them that have no business being on the back of these vehicles. If the tongue and the back of the vehicle are going down like this, the trailer is too heavy. Okay, I'm probably not talking to the people that I need to be talking to here, but it's dangerous. It is flippin' dangerous, because that trailer is hooked to the fulcrum of the back of that truck, and if that trailer decides that it's going to go somewhere where you don't want to go, that trailer is going to go there. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. That is flippin' dangerous. Okay, you don't have to weigh the truck and trailer. You don't have to know the towing capacity of that vehicle. That trailer is too heavy. You just look at it, and if the back of the truck is sitting down, it's too heavy. Okay? You can throw some airbags up under the back of that vehicle and tow that trailer safely, but you still got to worry about braking. Is that vehicle going to be able to brake that? I mean, yeah, maybe not. or the fact, do you have the brakes set up on the trailer correctly? And then the other thing is that the transmission is, because most of these vehicles are going to be automatic transmissions. If you're pulling up and down through the hills, you're going to overheat the transmission. You're going to blow the transmission out of it. So, think about, I know most of you who are buying these camper trailers and you're stretched to the limit because you spent $30,000 or $40,000 in the camper trailer and you already had the truck, and it's a pickup truck. That's what it's designed to do. No, they're not designed to do that. 1,500, they are pavement princesses. It's a flipping car. Okay? Most of the time, if you're going to pull a trailer safely, you got to buy a 3,500. You got to buy not a 3,500, a 2,500. You got to buy a 3/4 ton. That's what they're designed for. So there's my little rant on trailers and seasonal things, and I kind of got away from this, but I have seen so many of these in the last couple of weeks walking up and down the road, and they're not safe. You're flipping dangerous on the roadway, and you're endangering yourself, and you're endangering other people on the roadway. Okay? I said it. All right, so safe driving habits, looking farther down the road, determining what the traffic consists of, turning lanes, where are the turning lanes? I'm looking overhead, looking for rubberneckers and anything out of the ordinary. And the one thing that was kind of out of the ordinary today, I was crossing the major intersection here in Vernon, and I looked across the intersection and I'm thinking, why is that pickup truck sitting in the lane, is not in the turning lane and is turning left? And even me, who's always looking for stuff, it took me a minute to kind of realize, to get back to the slide here because I was pointing to the slide, that there was a vehicle in the left turning lane that was broke down, was broke down, and the four-way flashers were on, and the other vehicles were coming around to get around the vehicle to move through the intersection because it took a while. It probably took 20 minutes, half an hour before the tow truck got there. So that's the other thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that afterwards. So looking for rubberneckers, looking for things out of the ordinary, knowing the characteristics of vehicles and road users. And of course, in the springtime, as I've already had my little rant about trucks and trailers, camping trailers, boat trailers, you're going to have motorcycles on the road. Now we've not just got motorcycles, we've now got those reverse motorcycle type things with the two wheels on the front that look like kind of a modified dune buggy. Those on the road, RV units, all kinds of other things on the roadway. So think about the time of year that you're driving, and all of that and whatnot. Okay. What happened here? Okay, there we go. Okay. So, interpret the actions of other road users, look farther down the road, interpreting the vehicle's movements. Remember, the position of the vehicle on the roadway often tells you what the vehicle is going to do and what it's going to happen with that vehicle. Okay, paying attention to your own driving and having patience and hanging back and not getting aggressive, not getting right up on the bumper of the vehicle in front of you and hoping that they're going to go faster when it's bumper to bumper traffic and there's absolutely no place for them to go. So keep all that in mind when you're driving and looking farther down the road and trying to figure out what other people are doing. So young people, we've talked about this before. Unfortunately, something came across the Google News alert today, this afternoon, that the UK is now tightening down on their graduated licensing system. They are bringing into effect what we have in effect in North America in many states and provinces, with limiting night driving for many young people, that they can't drive on their provisional license between 1 and 5 in the morning, and they're going to limit the number of passengers in the number of UK, because the number of traffic deaths, the number of fatalities amongst young people has gotten out of hand, and they're looking at other GDLs in the world, graduated driver's license, and they're going to implement these in the UK. These have not been part of the GDL in the UK, but they're bringing them in the UK. So, as I've said before, young people, drinking, driving, dating, distracted driving. These are the things that you are dealing with, the 4 Ds, all at the same time. And if you haven't done it already, Corey will put up the contract for life. Get a hold of that. Find a friend, find your parents, an uncle, an aunt, somebody that you can sign the contract for life with. If you're out drinking, if you've been smoking some pot, sign that with your parents. And if you've been drinking, do not get in a vehicle. Call these people, get a ride, because that's the purpose of the contract for life. That will keep you safe. It will keep other road users safe, because we had the Carlsberg crash there a couple of weeks ago, where 7 kids in an SUV, and it was a young driver on a provisional license, went around the corner too fast, and one of the drivers in the back, one of the passengers in the back who wasn't restrained, was killed. Horrific crashes that there's no need for that to happen. And if you're one of those people piling in behind the other 5 or 6 people who are getting into the vehicle, you should be the one saying, wait a minute, this person is not licensed to be having this number of people in the thing. You need to be responsible. This is part of your transition of now getting a license. You are now getting you are now being a big person. You have to adult, right? So communication, observation, develop habits that will protect you. And I did this study, I threw this poll up a couple of years ago, I may do this again, that people believe that it was inexperience with young people. And I don't think that it's just inexperience with driving. As I've said this before, I'll just finish up here because I think this is the end. This is the end, my friend. Good luck on your driver's test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Okay, so what I was talking about was, it's not just experience with driving that young people are transitioning to being an adult, right? As I said, drinking, driving, dating, and distracted driving. Screen time, these stupid phones. It's like Saturday, I just try and get away from all of this crap of the computer and my phone and screens. And, it's tough. It's tough to put this stuff down. So when you're driving and you're picking up your phone, you're looking at it, not only you as the young people, but all the rest of us, me too. And, the older people who are driving, because, they've done studies in the United States of America, and 2/3 of Americans have said, or 2/3 of American drivers have said, I've talked on my phone, my handheld phone, while I'm going down the road. 33% of Americans, more than 100 million Americans, probably 80 million American drivers have said, yeah, I've texted and drove. So, it's us having to be adults when we're dating, right? Because that's all new for young people. Driving, that's all new. Drinking is all new because, most of you, yes, you're not supposed to be drinking until you're 21. Who in their right mind, there's very few people in the world that wait till they're 21 to start experimenting with drinking. Most of us do it before then. So you've got that going on with your driving and all that other stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's too much stuff going on in terms of the driving. And, if we have these Carlsberg crashes, this is going to make it worse for everybody, right? Because they're just going to do what they're doing in the UK, and they're just going to bring down tighter and tighter rules. So there's my thing about all that. And Corey's put up the contract for life there. So please download that and sign that with somebody if you haven't done that already, okay? So we'll get back to the comments here. Sorry, I got a little carried away there on my soapbox. Eric, 78 degrees in Minnesota. Hope your weekend is great. Your 4th too. Yes, everybody had a great 4th of July. We are having a crappy summer here in the Okanagan in British Columbia. It rained again today, and literally the furnace is still on in my house. It's almost the middle of July, and the furnace is still on. Oh, there we go. Cardo, just in time. Happy you went live today. I have a road test tomorrow. Wish me luck. Good luck on your road test. Cardo, where are you taking your road test? Where in the world are you taking your road test? Carrie, thank you. Thanking you with U-turns in the driving culture. Need to be more cautious just when making a right turn on a red light. Absolutely. My friend Janet there in Ontario, well said, Rick. Few instances around here lately. Also bigger trailers with rental equipment on them. One flipped on the 401 a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, this is the other thing, Janet. They're beginning to sort of deal with this. Here in British Columbia, we have the heavy trailer endorsement for these people who are renting trucks and trailers, and the trailers are over 10,000 pounds. Same thing with campers. But the thing is they're not enforcing it. They're not forcing these people to go in and get their endorsement or to take the driver's test to be able to handle this kind of equipment. And, I've seen people with trucks and trailers, and there is nothing that entertains me more than a lawn chair and a beer and sitting in a campsite on a Friday night and watching trucks and trailers come in and watching these people try and back up. Most of them just can't do it. And, it is what it is. And these people exist, and this is why I have my rant about these people with their half-ton Dodge pickup trucks, you know, their F-150s, their Chevy 1500s. They have no business pulling most of these camper trailers, and the people who are selling these camper trailers, you know, they have something to answer for too, because they sell them to these people. Oh, she'll be right, you know, good enough for the girls we go with, good enough for the guys we go with, you know, sort of thing. It's just, and it's rubbish. It's not safe. All right, my mother-in-law took the test and failed because she was using the backup camera when she tested her in the backing up test. Yeah, sorry to hear about that. Yeah, you can't use a backup camera. C5150. There we go, 5150. You can't use a backup camera as your primary line of sight. You can check it as you would your mirrors, but you can't be looking at it. And I was at Superstore last week, and I watched a woman, and I almost went over and asked her if I could do a little video. And she pulled up there, she backed up, and she was looking. I saw her looking at the backup camera the whole time, and you know, she just backed up, neat as a nickel, just like that, backed it right into the space. And I thought, nah, okay. So, yeah, Janet, I've been talking to my mom, and she's like, yeah, it's 36 degrees, and I'm just like, oh my God, I wish it was 36 degrees here. It's terrible. And I mean, we live in one of the most beautiful places in the summertime. I mean, you know, because the lakes are right here. It's just, you ride your bike down 10 minutes, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But no, you can't. It's been terrible. Furnace is on. Furnace is on. Agnes, Sheldon, a new car doesn't need a mechanic because it's brand new, but a used car, yes. Agnes, I wouldn't be on board with that with a new car. I had a mate of mine who had a brand new 2017 WRX Subaru. 20,000 kilometers, the tires fell off of it. 40,000 kilometers, needed a new battery. 50,000 kilometers, the clutch dropped out of it. So yeah, that's not necessarily true when it comes to new vehicles. And the other thing, Agnes, that I learned about new vehicles a couple of years ago, when I was talking to my mate Gary, who runs the tire shop here in town that I deal with, is that when you buy a brand new vehicle, they put crap tires on them that only last about 25,000 kilometers, maybe 15,000, 18,000 miles, because they know that you're going to go and have to buy new tires. It's kind of like buying a brand new house. You buy a brand new house and it's only half finished. You still have to finish the lower level and do the yard. New cars are like that now too. Most of the stuff just fails at a really low mileage. So there you go. Abacar, hi everyone. I'm sorry for the being late. Hope I didn't miss good stuff. Just my soapbox stuff. That's all you missed. We're having a heat wave in Toronto. Yes, I've heard that. Cutie face. My mom has told me the same thing. She keeps rubbing it in. I'm just like, yeah, it's freezing here. Oh, it was an online fight. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jaden. That's a bummer. Krista, how are you? Julia, I had my license for 2 years now, coming from a different country without any driving experience. Thank you. Your videos have really helped me, and we're really glad that we could help you out, Julia. That's really awesome. Felicia, are you able to I think you're saying, are you able to use a backup camera? Yes, you are able to use your backup camera, but use it as you would your mirrors, okay? So check your mirrors, and then still be looking out the rear window. Corey, if you could find the video there for me on using backup cameras, and that'll help people out. Agnes, I will be watching your videos for a while because I'm going back for my retest this Wednesday. Even after I get my license, I want as much info as possible to be a good driver. Excellent, Agnes. I'm so glad that we can help you out. Felicia, you are able to use a backup camera. Yes, you can use it, but you can't use it as your primary line of sight. So just before you prepare to put the vehicle in motion and you're going to go backwards, check your mirrors, check your backup camera, and then look out the back window. Okay, that's how you use your backup camera. You can use it. And Katie has a birthday this Friday. Friday. Isn't Friday? No, it's not, because tomorrow's the 13th. Friday. Today's 14, 15, 16, 17. It's on the 17th of July. There we go. Okay, awesome. Corey, this could be a fair bit of people genuinely unaware that they are being unsafe with those pickup trucks. Oh, Corey, they are absolutely they are, like, I don't even get it. I see them come through the intersection, and the truck and the trailer, the middle of them, is sitting down like this. How can you not know that that thing is too heavy? It's not supposed to be sitting like that. If the thing is not level, if the back of the truck and the front of the trailer are not level, it's not safe. It's the same thing as these people, these guys who've got these big jacked up trucks, and they're too cheap to go and buy a new insert for the hitch that drops down so that the trailer is level, and the trailer's like this going down the road. That's unsafe too. And buying my first dehumidifier for the apartment. Corey, you wouldn't do very well in Ontario. Oh, I miss Ontario so much. Krista, I'm good, Rick. Happy to catch another live stream live from Northern California. Awesome. And how is the weather in Northern California, Krista? I'm envious of everybody else who's having summer. Agnes, can you use cruise control on a road test? No, I wouldn't use cruise control on a road test, Agnes. I would counsel you against that. Use it after you get your license, okay? Excellent. Okay, twins. My friend went to the DMV in Easton, Maryland, and he said they made him do a 3-point turn and reverse into a parking spot and parking into a parking spot. And yes, twins, Maryland. Yes, somebody asked me about that, a smart driver. I just don't know whether I'm going to have time to be able to do this. What was said to me is that they made him do that it's required to do a 3-point turn across 3 parking spaces. So you're in a parking lot, 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and they make you come up and you have to 3-point turn and then go the other direction, right? So basically all you want to do, and maybe I'll just do a quick on the whiteboard here for you, is just do a quick video for you on the whiteboard so you know how to do it and set it up. But it's basically you just come up, pull over to the right, stop, mirror signal, shoulder check, do your 360-degree scan, signal to the left, pull across, straighten your tires out when you get to the other side, 360-degree scan, signal to the right, look back that way, back up, stop, signal to the left again, and then pull out and go the other way. It's that simple. That's all you got to do for your 3-point thing. Agnes, you're most welcome. Jaden and Rick, when I was going to get my dad's favorite drink, I noticed the fuel was low, so I didn't feel safe when the fuel was low, so I had to drive with my hazards on. No. Okay. First off, Jaden, I would recommend not driving below a quarter of a tank, and this is for everybody. New vehicles have electronic fuel pumps often in the fuel tank. Okay? So what happens is that the fuel in the tank lubricates and cools the fuel pump. So when the fuel is less than a quarter of a tank, what happens is it sloshes around in the bottom of the tank and exposes the fuel pump. And over time, the fuel pump will overheat and you'll have to replace it. So one of the things that I recommend for good driving habits is keeping the fuel in your fuel tank more than a quarter of a tank. So when it gets to a quarter of a tank, go and put fuel in it. Now, the other thing that many of you may or may not know is that, and Jaden, you probably don't know this as well, now, because, we're drivers and, we're not exactly attentive to the fact that the fuel gauge is on E. So now we have lights that come on in conjunction with the fact that the fuel gauge is on E to tell us that we have low fuel in the vehicle. And you don't have to test this, but there's a manufacturing mandate policy in place. There's a manufacturing policy in place that once the light comes on, once the fuel gauge is on E and the light comes on to say that you have low fuel, the vehicle will still go 60 kilometers, which is 28 miles. It'll still go 28 miles, 60 kilometers before it runs out of fuel. And so, Jaden, if you're low on fuel, don't put your throwaways on. Know that if the light isn't on yet, you still got plenty of fuel. Get yourself to a fuel station, get it filled up. Because, I know, you don't have to apologize, Jaden. I mean, you don't know. So, don't apologize for stuff you don't know, okay? I'm helping you out, trying to empower you and tell you the stuff about your cars that you should or shouldn't know. And, a lot of people wouldn't know that. A lot of people don't know that. Also, the fact a lot of you who are watching now and watching on the replay, you may not know that on most newer cars, when you look down, if you get into somebody else's vehicle and you got to go put fuel in it, and you don't know which side the fuel fill is on the car, just look down where the fuel gauge is, and there's an arrow on there, and it will tell you which side the fuel cap is on the vehicle you're driving. So there you go. Okay. Zaman, I love your tips and tricks for road tests. Yes, and we get you passing. Athena, I live in North Carolina. Athena, do you qualify to be moved to your provisional license there in North Carolina? Because North Carolina and Wisconsin are the only two states in the U.S. that are doing that, are moving learners drivers to the provisional stage of their license. So are you eligible for that, to be able to be moved for that? Agnes, what's your opinion on car seat covers? Are they safe? Are you talking about seat covers in terms of safe for COVID-19 in terms of the pandemic that we're experiencing, Agnes? Or are you talking about, are they safe in terms of being able to control the vehicle and stay safe and not end up in a crash and those types of things? Excellent. Okay, there you go. So Corey put the video up on the fuel pump. Slay J, thanks for the amazing tips, mate. Really appreciate them. Stay safe and be careful and drive safe. And thank you so much for that. That's awesome. Yes, on your B-Day, and do something fun, on your birthday. We should all do something fun. Go out and get your favorite drink. Go out and get your favorite meal, or go to your favorite restaurant and those types of things. I'm not sure what's going on with the whole thing, but I've been to a couple of restaurants in the last week or so, and I've been not impressed with the food at these places the last couple of times. And I've been to all these restaurants and cafes before, and they've all been really good. But the last week, I'm not sure what happened. And the one place I was actually quite impressed. She asked me how it was. Half the food was left on the plate, and she said, "Oh, how is it?" And I said, I said it was pretty warm at best. And she just took it away, and she charged me for my beverage and didn't charge me for the meal. So, that was it. Regular seat covers that people put on their cars. Oh, Agnes, they're fine. They're going to help you out in those types of things. And I mean, you can get seat covers that are kind of stylish. I mean, if you're, into Iron Man, or you ZZ Top, or Pokemon, you can get yourself all kinds of seat covers for your car and make it look, pimp it out to whatever you want to do. So yeah, no, seat covers are great. They're fine. And as well, a lot of people will put seat covers on their vehicles to protect the seat, right? Because some newer vehicles, I mean, not so much newer vehicles. I mean, my Honda, the driver's seat isn't worn out at all, but you'll get some seats that are completely worn out after, 100,000 miles or whatnot. So that's what happens. Eric, what about McDonald's? I haven't been to McDonald's, Eric. I can't say I'm a frequent flyer, but I was in McDonald's. Maybe I was just... Oh, I know why I was in McDonald's. I went to McDonald's to get ice cream for the kids. So that was fine. Do you know how New York are having driving tests? New York is doing a shortened version. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is excellent. Thank you for kind of bringing me on track here. So I was going to talk a little bit about what the tests look like. So kind of what the categories of the driving tests are in the United States. So there's several kind of variations of the test. So California is doing what a lot of states are doing, which is a shortened driving test. They're still taking you out on the roadway, but it's a shortened driving test. And the reason they're doing this is to try and catch up with the backlog that they're experiencing. So basically, it's a shortened driving test. It's about 12 to 15 minutes. They take you out a few left turns, a few right turns, and they take you back to the DMV, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Okay? So this, in my understanding, is what New York is doing, what California is doing, and a few other places are doing. Okay? Most DMVs in the United States are doing modified driver's test, and there's two variations of the modified driver's test. Okay? There's the video that I put up last week, which is just slow speed maneuvers. So they're going to get you to do straight line backing, 3-point turn across 3 parking spaces. They're going to get you to back into a parking space. The Ohio maneuverability test for those of you that are in Ohio. And then other test centers have a closed course where they're actually going to get you to do some right and left turns for your driver's test. So that's the other thing that you could potentially encounter, because I know that in a couple of places in New Jersey, I've had smart drivers tell me that they had to do, there was a course set up and they had to come up to a stop sign and they had to make a left turn and a right turn. And all of this is done via a radio. So the examiner is outside of the vehicle. They communicate with you with a radio, and you have to bring your mentor with you for these closed circuit tests. Okay, so if your mom or dad are coming with you, or your aunt or your uncle, so it's only one other person that can be in the vehicle, and that is your mentor that's in the vehicle with you while you're doing your slow speed maneuvers test. So those are the different variations. And as I've said before, there's only 2 states, the state of Wisconsin and the state of North Carolina, that are moving learner drivers to the provisional license stage without a driver's test. Every other place is doing a modified driver's test, either a shortened driver's test, or they're doing a closed circuit test in a parking lot, which is slow speed maneuvers, or it's slow speed maneuvers plus some right and left turns and pulling forward, stopping, and backing up, and those types of things. Okay. So Felicia, I'll put a call out for that information in terms of what's going on in the province of Ontario, but unfortunately I haven't heard anything yet. And what I have heard about Ontario is that they are not yet in the phase 3 of reopening during COVID, so that they have not resumed testing. And the information that I have is that unfortunately for drivers who are trying to get a license test in the province of Ontario, they're waiting until the fall to be able to book a driver's test, which is unacceptable in my mind. It's totally unacceptable. It's just much too long to expect a lot of these people to be waiting, especially when a lot of people are working to get their license so that they can drive themselves to work, or they can, drive themselves to college or university or wherever they need to go. So that's what's happening. Okay, unfortunately, and that's the information they have. So what I said previously is I'll try to collate the information that I have and give you the best updated version of the information that I have at this point. I'll try and go through websites and those types of things, but again, unfortunately, there's only me, and it's my time is limited, so I'll do the best that I can for you. All right, Mervin from Sierra Leone, can you do a video that illustrates how to drive at night and how to stop the car with the clutch and hold the clutch on a hill instead of the brake? We have that video for you, Mervin, the one on using the clutch on a hill. Corey can put that up for you as well. We also have a video on night driving. Corey will put those 2 videos up for you as well. If we don't get them up for you, Mervin, do send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest, or leave me a comment here somewhere on the channel. I'm working hard to try and answer people's comments right now while we're in the height of this pandemic and everything's kind of crazy and everybody's doing something different. So we're trying to do the best we can to get you the information, the most current information that we have, okay? Stylies, I have a road test on Tuesday in Pennsylvania. Wish me luck. Excellent. And in Pennsylvania, they're doing a closed circuit test as well with the maneuvers and whatnot. And the modified driving test that I put up there is the one that you're going to need to look at for the state of Pennsylvania. Okay. Bubble, I'm 19. I have my license, but I get driving anxiety when driving anywhere. It's scary, and I avoid driving whenever possible. Any tips on how to help me feel better? Yes. What I would suggest, Bubble, that you're having anxiety around driving is to try and figure out, what triggers your anxiety with driving. Okay, what is there a particular traffic situation or particular, length of time? So you're okay for driving for 15 minutes, but then once you get into 15 or 20 minutes, then you start getting anxious and you feel that you need to have a break and those types of things. So, kind of figure out what the triggers are. And then the other thing is that, it's never going to go away, right? You're always going to have this fear and trepidation around driving, but you'll be able to get it to a point where you're going to be comfortable and be able to deal with it. And it's, there's nothing wrong with it. It's going to make you a better, sharper driver. You're going to be more aware while you're driving. So the other thing you can do is just exposure, right? Drive in low density traffic, try to drive at times of the day when there isn't a lot of traffic on the roadways and those types of things. So if you have to go to work in the morning and you're going during rush hour and those types of things, try and leave a half an hour earlier or a half an hour later or whatever. Talk to your boss and say, listen, I'm having trouble with driving and those types of things. Be honest with people, and people will try and help you out the best they can. drive at times when the traffic isn't as high density, maybe take an alternative route so you're on less dense roads and those types of things and going to work and whatnot. And then it's just a matter of practicing and driving and trying to figure out what's happening with your driving. And maybe, the other thing is that maybe you can't figure it out by yourself. Maybe you need to go and find a driving instructor that can help you out and deal with that anxiety, or a professional, like a psychologist or a therapist or a psychiatrist or whatnot that may be able to help you with all of those sorts of things. But, if you can identify kind of what's causing you to be anxious when you're driving, that's going to be a really good start to sort of moving forward and getting past that. Epic, your videos are so helpful and include space distance with cars in front. Speaking of California and New Jersey, they both require masks and health screening for COVID-19 in order to take the road test. Yes, excellent. Thank you for reminding me of that, Epic. And yes, for any of you who are going for a driver's test, make sure that you have masks. Make sure that you are not feeling sick. You don't have a temperature, because a lot of these driving test centers are going to take your temperature. No, they're not going to stick a thermometer in your mouth. We now live in a world of technology where they just digitally beep your head and they can tell what the temperature is. So if you're exhibiting any flu-like symptoms, do not go in for your driver's test, okay? You're going to have to wear a mask. Some of you at some test centers, they're going to sanitize the passenger seat. They're going to put a blanket on it before they sit down in it. So in some of these tests in New Jersey, as Epic is saying, and California, the examiner is getting in the car with you and doing the driving test. So know that you're going to have to wear masks. And other test centers, I've also heard they make you roll down the rear windows. So if you're not comfortable, driving on roadways with the windows down, just kind of practice that a little bit, because there is going to be additional road noise with the rear windows being rolled down on the car, and that may, just kind of distract you a little bit, and just kind of, just practice it so that it doesn't kind of come as a shock when you go for your driver's test. Okay, Carrie, when looking in one's rearview mirror, if a car is going way faster than traffic flow, is that car should you be more cautious around? More likely to do something goofy? Yes, if there are. So that's an excellent question. If there are cars in the flow of traffic that are going faster than everybody else, then yes, that person is being a kind of a goof, okay? And just keep your eye on them and figure out what they're doing and those types of things. Lots of times they'll just get out in the passing lane and scream past you and go on about their day, right? But just keep your eye on them. Open up the space in front of your vehicle so that you have a buffer of space, but don't do anything aggressive like slam on your brakes or those types of things. Just increase the space in front of your vehicle, and that way you're going to be safe when other people are doing those kinds of things. Janet, my friend went to write her AZ renewal, waited 2.5 hours outside just to get in, lined up an hour before open, got inside to be told that she couldn't write it until 11 a.m. It's nuts. It's awful. Yeah, and it's not just Ontario, Janet, that this is happening. There are United States, many of the states and other provinces as well. And it's not just people who are trying to get in to write their learner's test. It's trying to get in to get their license renewed, transfer ownership of vehicles, buying and selling vehicles, and all of this sorts of thing. I mean, this is something that is completely unprecedented. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that, my job as a driving instructor, when the economy tanks or we go into a recession, in my experience of working at driving schools, truck driving schools during times of recession actually increase in the amount of business, because the number of people who are now out of work are going to truck driving schools to get retrained. So truck driving schools are busy during recessions. And in my mind, I thought that what I was doing here on YouTube and, all these driving test centers and those types of things, I thought, there is no way in any stretch of my wildest imagination they were ever going to close down the DMVs, the MTO, the test centers and those types of things. It just wasn't going to happen. And then they did. And now the authorities in place are not making good decisions to try and deal with this backlog that is happening at these test centers. they're simply not, and they need to make bold decisions to deal with this backlog. Otherwise, they're going to be dealing with a lot of people who are frustrated and fed up. And the article that I was reading, I think it was the state of Massachusetts. It's really bad that you click on the Google news alerts, but it doesn't tell you where it is, right? They're saying, oh, frontline workers are getting abused. Well, of course they're getting abused. People are frustrated. This is an essential service that people need. This is this is, one of the foundations of our economy. So anyway, yes, Ontario, Canada is not open. Yes, we know that. There's no information about Ontario whatsoever. Kumar, I'm having difficulty making right turns. Left turn is okay. I can see the way clearly. Please suggest something. Kumar, probably what you're having trouble with on your right turns is you're not slowing down enough. If you're in Canada, you need to be doing sort of 10 to 15 kilometers an hour. If you're in the States, you need to be kind of doing 8 to 12 miles an hour. I find that with a lot of people on right-hand turns, they don't slow down enough before they try to make the turn. And the other thing with going slow, and this is the same with both making right turns, making left turns, and working with trailers or going around corners or those types of things. There are several reasons why you should go slower. Okay? First thing, any vehicle turns sharper the slower it goes. The faster you're going, the less sharp that vehicle is going to turn. The second thing is, the slower you're going, the more time you have to maneuver the steering wheel and the primary controls of the vehicle. The next thing is you have more time to observe. And if something happens because you're going slower, you're going to be able to get the vehicle stopped, right? And then finally, if there is a crash and you're going slower, there's less damage that's going to be done than if you're tearing around the corner at 100 miles an hour. Now you're going to do a lot of damage. So there's a lot of reasons to go slow that will keep you safe when you're driving and will help you to navigate right-hand turns. Now, the other thing that I would suggest to you, Kumar, is after you've been driving for a little bit, after you've done a few lessons and you feel fairly comfortable in those types of things, take some time, go back to the parking lot, go back to work with your pylons, and revisit those fundamentals in the parking lot. That will really help you out, okay? So make sure you do all of that. All right. Anoko, I'm good. I believe that's Spanish. If somebody could translate that for me, that would be terrific. Epic. Road test lines, including express lanes, are crowded due to the backlog of canceled tests from March to May, even resulting in documents expiring, yes, and being extended to the end of the years. Maria, yes, thank you so much. Jose, I have a road test in about 2 weeks in Maryland. Please, what should I expect, especially in this COVID season? Please enlighten me. Jose, Josie, Maryland, 3-point turn across 3 parking spaces. Otherwise, it's the same maneuvers in the modified driving test video, okay? Have a look for that. If not, just leave me a comment here on the video, and I will put that up for you, and you can have a look at that, okay? And we'll get you completely prepared for your driver's test and pass it there in a couple of weeks. And as well, all of you watching now, watching on the replay, leave us a comment. Let us know where you are, and we'll be able to help you out as best we can, give you the best information about what's going on in your state, what in your province, in your county, and other smart drivers will help you out there as well. Agnes, got it, Rick, slow down to 8 to 12 miles an hour when making right-hand turns. That's for right-hand turns, Agnes. And for left-hand turns, it's going to be somewhere between 15 and 25 miles an hour, depending on how big the intersection is on the left-hand turn. Now, the other thing with left-hand turns, I'll just go over this quickly, is that so you come up, you're waiting to make the left-hand turn, put your front steer tires on the front crosswalk line. That way you're committed to the intersection, but you're not in the intersection. And then you're watching the traffic come across on the other side. You see the gap, and you move forward to meet the gap, okay? So you meet the gap, you're already going, you've got some speed going, and then you turn into the left lane. So it's right lane to right lane, left lane to left lane when you're turning at intersections, okay? And for left-hand turns, I had a smart driver ask me this last week, why do you move back over to the right lane? because the left lane is the passing lane, right? And for those of you who are preparing for a driver's test, you are going to be driving the speed limit, the posted speed limit. So therefore, you are going to be driving 10 kilometers an hour or 5 miles an hour less than the traffic flow on the roadway. So you're going to be traveling slower. So therefore, you're going to drive in the right-hand lane because the other lane is the passing lane and other traffic is going to have to get around you. So immediately after making a left-hand turn, mirror signal shoulder check, put your signal on and move over to the right-hand lane. And the only time that you don't do that on a driver's test, the examiner's not going to tell you to do that. The only time that you don't do that is if the examiner says to you, okay, in the next couple of blocks, 2 blocks up, I want you to make a left-hand turn at the controlled intersection. That's the only time you would stay in the left-hand lane for a left-hand turn. All right. Innocent. So how can I improve this one? Which one? Not sure which one you're... Oh, okay. I did my driving test last week, but unfortunately I got it wrong. The thing made me fail was clutch coasting. Okay. So you had it in gear, but you were going too fast and you just pushed the clutch in and just let the thing coast. Yeah, don't do that. One of the things you need to do, Innocent, is Corey, I'll put the video up for you. Which one are you looking for? You're looking for how to properly downshift in a manual transmission. So on a driver's test, you can't do that. You can't just like pop the stick shift into neutral and just coast, or just push the clutch in and let it coast. What you got to do is you got to come up, bring let the tachometer drop to 1,000 in a petrol engine, and then you push the clutch in and brake and come to a stop. Okay. You might, and if the traffic continues, you might need to shift down and pick a different gear and then continue on. But I know what you're doing. I know what happened and why you failed for that point. Read on. I'm taking my test in August. Brilliant. Chris, is it true that New York City, they are allowing the 5 hours course? I hadn't heard that, Chris, to be done online. That is a possibility. Chris, if you find any information, if you could leave me a comment down in the comment section or send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest, that would be really helpful, and we can update that information and help out the smart drivers there in New York State as well. And if any other smart drivers have any information about their state, any information about what's going on in their province or county or whatnot, drop by the community tab here on the Smart Drive Test channel and leave that information, and I'll do the best to get that updated for you this week, okay? Mervin again, how bright should you put the headlight, full beam or halfway at night? Full beam will disturb the other drivers. Okay, so Mervin, anytime that you can drive with your bright lights at night, do that, but within 500 feet of another vehicle. So you're going down the road and it's 500 feet from the other vehicle, then you're going to lower your high beams, okay? So if there isn't any other traffic, then yes, have your high beams on, but if other vehicles are approaching, then turn down to your low beams, all right? Josie, thank you for the info. Great job, sir. Thank you so much. So glad that we could help out. And again, if all you watching on the replay, watching now, leave us a comment about your driver's test, where you're taking it, what is happening with the pandemic that's going on. We'll do our best to help everybody out. Do you have any videos about clutch coasting? No, I have videos about downshifting Onico. Corey will put that up for you as well. What does the L mean in an automatic car? Julian, L means low. You don't need to worry about low. Just put it in D and drive with D. Full beams, then low beams. Yes. Thanks for the info. You're most welcome. All right, and we'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much for showing up. And again, if you have any comments, leave us a comment down in the comment section there. Hit that thumbs up button. Leave us a comment, drop to the community tab, and leave us the latest information about what's going on in your state, county, or province, and we'll try and update that and get you a video here this week. And thank you very much for watching, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.